Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dads, listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and today I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you today. We are discussing Season 2, Episode 5, titled The Ghost of Harrenhal. This one is written by D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, with the direction by David Petrarca. Same as last week. Got him still in the mix. And, yeah, man, this is another goodie. It's nice and simple. It's not a lot that happens this episode, but at least we're not watching people get brutally tortured the entire time. So I'm down with that.
And speaking of the intro song, a little singing it, at the beginning, this was, I don't know, maybe I missed it last episode, but Koth popped up in the intro. This is cool how the intro changes over the span of the show. And the more you know about the show, the more that it is literally just a map of it's just going through the locations of the current show right now, and like they, how Winterfell changes over the show over time, and how it's like burnt. I think it's just really cool.
There comes a point where it's like smoking and stuff. Yeah, it's all very, very cool. And this episode might be the one that takes us to the most locations, actually.
Ooh, okay.
As our previous high was 6, and this takes us to 7.
Let's go. Okay. Wow. I wanted to ask you, I don't know if I've just missed this the entire time I've watched the show, or if it's not at all what it is, but like in the intro sequence, the like thing of energy that all the rings are like rotating around that has like the Game of Thrones like title, the red, is that the comet that's like going across the whole, that like shows up and it's like, that only means one thing, that's dragons, because like it's literally a map of Westeros, and the thing is literally, I thought it was just the sun like the whole time, but like I was like,
that makes sense. I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know that we're necessarily supposed to make that connection, but I do think that's a cool theory that I've never even considered.
Because I was just watching, because I'm like, oh, it's Karth, and I'm like, let me see if there's like any little thing that changed with Winterfell or anything that changed with the wall, and like nothing really. It's just the same everywhere. But then I'm like, it cuts into the thing every now and then. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, is that supposed to be the comet like flying across? Like,
that's interesting. No, that's I hadn't even considered that. This is actually, interestingly enough, this will be our first episode where I have finished one of the books.
Oh,
I'm on to book 2 now. I'm on to book 2, catching up with where we are in the story. Still very early on in book 2. Haven't made it very far. I think I've made it maybe to where the second episode might be. No, not even that. I think I'm still in the midst of what the first episode is. But yeah, I finally finished a book, and it's it actually is giving me some key insights into a character like Stannis Baratheon. That we spend some time with Stannis, but we don't spend time dwelling on his motivations a lot. I don't think it's more because of the Red Woman that they just kind of blow everything off. They're like, yeah, Red Woman did this. But yeah, where we would kick off this episode is in the Stormlands with Renly Baratheon. I think it kind of provides this nice little launching off point. So if you're ready, I am ready.
Eesh. Yeah, I guess let's get into it, because man, it just
we were confused last week. I was like, I could have swore that the episode ended with Renly getting stabbed. No, the scenes are back to back. They're just the end of an episode and the beginning of an episode, and they're
makes more sense.
Previous watches, I was like,
when you binge the show, Yeah, when you binge the show, it's all just one big conglomerate of an episode. So
when you binge the show as well, and you watch the end of the last one, where the red woman births a shadow beast, you go ahead and start the next episode.
That's fair. Yeah, it is really weird not doing that. Like actually like making myself only watch one episode at a time.
Gotten a lot easier too. Like it's like I don't feel the pressure to be like, oh, I really want to keep watching. No, I'm like, I got
That's
next. I got next. Yeah, this will be nice and easy. But we kick it off in the Stormlands where King Renly Baratheon is hanging out, Brienne of Tarth and Catelyn Stark, and they're interrupted when a shadow leaks in from under the curtain. Catelyn kind of watches it and is like, "That's fucking weird. I don't know what the fuck that is." And then it takes the form of a man and stabs Renly through the chest. The horror, the pain displayed by Gwendolyn Christie as Brienne of Tarth here when she yells no, earned her my performance nod very quickly off the rip.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the only true answer for this episode. I figured it was going to be down. Like, I'm looking for anyone who's not her, basically, in this episode. And because she definitely deserves it for this episode. Like, oh my god, there's like
especially with what comes next after that scream. Whenever he goes down and she stays by his body and is like, "I'm not leaving him. I won't leave him." And Catelyn's like, "You literally have to. You have no choice." And she's unfortunately been blamed for the death and flees camp with Catelyn. But that was some grim shit. I was like, "Damn, man, I like my dude Renly a lot more on this watch too." So that made it hit a little bit harder too. You know, it was like
you always root for Rob because it's the longer. I guess he's going for longer, but you don't think of the pair that Rob and Renly could have made. Like Renly down in King's Landing and Rob up in the north. Like it would have been sick.
Renly and Stannis, all of the people who are seeking to be king right now are still not cool with the idea of the North becoming its own kingdom. Renly even is like, no, I don't think I'll grant you independence, but if he wants to help me out, he can be warden of the North and he can see over everything. It was Robert and Ned's friendship that held the realm together. They both died, and look at us now. And that's another point that I hadn't really considered is that, like, with Ned in the seat of power in the North and having him be a homie to the king really made things easy. And when they fell apart, the realm did. And it would have been cool to see Renly and Rob kind of.
Wow, man. It's like House of the Dragon really woke me up to the idea of, like, the children were just roped into it. Like, they're innocent from birth, and it's just their parents that roped them into this family business that, it's not their fault, but through how much they're already entangled with it, they have no choice but to make do with what they have.
Right.
And, like, I didn't realize how much it's exactly happening right now. Like, Rob is doing exactly what Ned did. Like, Ned had to fight their rebellion, Robert's rebellion, for how long did they say? Like 17 years or something? Like, maybe not. I don't know how long.
17 years. It was about. It was like a year or two long conflict.
Oh, okay. So I guess not as long as I was thinking. But, like, I don't know. Rob is kind of doing what Ned was doing at a young age, getting battle experience. Not exactly what you would want, but it. Whatever.
Well, not to mention that Ned, there was like a siege of the Stormlands once that Ned had to break, and that Ned gets all the credit. This is one of the things that the book kind of like keyed me into as to part of the history and the way Stannis views Robert and his relationship to Renly and stuff, is that he is the one who was passed, or he was the one that was passed over, because Renly got the seat at the Stormlands. He was the lord of the Stormlands. He's the younger brother to Stannis. He gave Stannis, like, Robert declared Renly the lord of that area and moved Stannis to the dragon. Homie is the junior soprano of this show, Stannis. The guy who is just so resentful because he kept getting passed over. He's the Fredo Corleone.
So he was just sent to Dragonstone but like Lord of Dragon, like he is.
Yeah, he's the Lord. He's a Lord there.
But he has no seat on the council, though.
No seat on the council. No seat of true power either. He just kind of helped build the ships for Robert's army and just kind of lived his life. And he resents Robert for it. He resents Renly for it. He's just grown embittered. So it kind of keys us into why that's happening. And then he's also bitter towards Ned. You know, whenever he's like, Ned died for me, I won't make the same mistake that motherfucker did. You know, Robert looked at him as more of a brother than he ever looked at me as a brother. So like, you know, he passes over me for hand and he chooses Ned. He doesn't he doesn't give a fuck, man. He's like, fuck my family. I'll do what I want.
Is it, why did he find himself? Like, is it because of what is said in the show that he's just kind of like a hermit? He sticks to himself all the time. He just doesn't care. Like,
there was not a lot of elaboration in the book as to why he was passed over. It was just that he was passed over. Like, he's just that unlikable, I think, is that they were like, yeah, Renly should really be the Lord of the Stormlands.
I guess, I mean, even in the show, he's completely relying on the Red Woman for everything here. Like, he is... You take the Red Woman out,
Storm's
End. Wiped.
The Lord of Storm's End. That's what it is. I kept saying the Stormlands.
But, Storm's End. That's right. Okay. So
that's the seat of Baratheon power, but it is in the Stormlands. So it's kind of the way that Ned's Lord of the North. He's the Lord of Winterfell. But yeah.
Okay. Man. Yeah, I know it was really cool to see, like, because I forgot that Catelyn or Brienne was like blamed for Renly's death. I'm like, because we just full well know that it's the Shadow Monster and the Red Woman, whatever, but like it's believed throughout, you know, Westeros that it was Catelyn maybe or Brienne of Tarth, and it's like, I don't know, it's really, I forgot about that little aspect of it.
I loved it, man. I loved it, but and it is like, it's really compelling because what that leads her to do. I love Brienne. She's I love this character. She just wants to she wants to be a knight so bad. She's just giving her sword left and right. She looks at Catelyn, she's like, but I could serve you. And, you know, there is merit to that. It's
not like she's choosing bad people. She chose Renly, which might have very well gone on to be the king. And then now, like, I mean, the most powerful woman in the North.
You know, I love her reasoning. Like, you're a strong woman, you know, not in the traditional sense, but you're a woman's kind of strong. Yeah,
I would die for you now. Yeah, you're nice. You seem chill. I'll die for you now.
This is actually my favorite scene of the episode too. That's the one that I declared my favorite scene was Brienne swearing her sword to Catelyn, because not just because of what this scene is in and of itself, but what it leads to. The way Brienne goes on the journey to try and protect Arya, the way she ends up trying to save Sansa from Winterfell whenever Ramsay takes over, like all that. Like that's because she swears this oath now that she decides to protect the kids. And I think that's really awesome. So like that became my favorite scene. I love the way Catelyn was like, you know, she did what you do when a knight swears their fealty to you. You know, I promise that you have a place in my house and I will protect you in every way that I can and stuff. Like I loved that. So that also got my favorite scene. So Brienne really dominating this episode for me in at least those categories. I don't think I got her for anything.
Oh, that is customary to do what Catelyn did. I thought that like she kind of. Yeah. I thought that she kind of took it upon herself to be like, man, if you're doing this, then I'll swear. You know, I thought she was kind of doing it back. I guess that makes sense. It's a very formal process, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I usually don't look at your picks for the episode. This one I did because I was very confident that it was Brienne and this scene. And I'm like, because when I watched this scene, I'm like, holy shit, there's no doubt that there's any other correct answer here. Like for the rest of the episode. And I'm like, I'm watching the rest and I'm like, no, nothing really hit it. So my answers, I guess, like truly are this, but there is one other scene that does, I think, actually give it a run for its money.
I'm looking at yours now. Your quote is what I had before I landed on my quote. And your scenes and your performance picks here. Yeah, like you got like all the number twos. Like,
and that's the thing is that I know that I don't have the number one. Like they maybe the number one line, maybe, but I know I don't have the number ones, but this is kind of, I want to give cred to the not obvious people here.
No,
it's kind of where I'm at for this episode.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to keep it going because this next scene takes us to, Renly on his slat with Lord Loras Tyrell standing over his body in tears, which was another great performance. I almost gave it to Finn Jones for this scene with Loras. But I didn't. And, the House Tyrell is fleeing to Highgarden, and the rest of the Bannermen going to join Stannis, and Lord Peter Baelish is the one who's letting them know about this. And he goes ahead and accompanies the Tyrells. And, he senses an opportunity to sway them to the Lannister side. And I loved this whole scene. Like, after Loras has kind of left the tent, and Marjorie is standing over his body, and she's like, yeah, if he was never a king, I was never really a queen. And Peter asks, do you want to be a queen? No, I want to be the queen.
Boom.
Like, that's a bar.
Boom. And this is the line that really gives credence to that, just that one. Like, why are we overlooking Marjorie so hard in this show? Like, why? I feel like she's never been, like, the main players are, Dany, Cersei, Jon, like those, the Arya, you hear them all the time. But like, oh my God, does Marjorie have a rise and just power?
Oh my God. And also, this show is 8 seasons. She is in it for 5 full seasons.
Yeah.
She is in the show for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like, she is in this show for a long time. And she is so, like, and that's not just an admiration to the actress and like, oh, you were in the show for the long time. It means she stayed alive and relevant for a long time.
Yeah. She played the game very well. And she was completely right here. She becomes the queen. Like, she gets there. Like, she is that. She's not just talking out of her ass. She is actually for real. And she gets there, and I love that like, Littlefinger, he hears that, and he's like, he admires her. He's like, oh my God, like, okay. Like, actually, I think, like, he sees it more of, not as like, oh, I have to report this back to the current council. I can't let, her take over. It's more of like, maybe I do let you take over. Like, I like you way more.
Well, not only that, but this is something I'm almost willing to guarantee that he is the one who presents this to Cersei later on, whenever Sansa is declared, or isn't declared a traitor, but is no longer the match. He does marry Marjorie. Joffrey does for a brief time. So, like, that's something I distinctly see Littlefinger being responsible for, is bringing that back and being like, yo, we got a good, it allies the Lannisters and the Tyrells, the 2 richest families in the realm. There's essentially it's a no-brainer for the Lannisters to accept a proposal like that.
That's true. It's my line of the episode, by the way, if I didn't make I don't think I made that clear yet. But
that was my line of the episode because it came earlier on, and I was like, "Oh, that was hard. That was hard. I love it." And then, like, I was like, "There's something that comes later that we will get to that I was like, ooh, that's just from a personal standpoint. I love that shit." But we will get there. Anyhoozle, there's also the fact that Stannis he's planning his siege of King's Landing, his storming of King's Landing, and Davos is like, "Sir, I got to tell you, you're losing men. You're gaining men, but they seem to think that you answer to the Red Woman. The Red Woman whispers something in your ear, and you go ahead and do it." And Stannis is like, "That's not true. That's not true." And Davos is like, "Very well. I don't think it is. You're a good man. Don't take the Red Woman to King's Landing, though, because then people will lose respect for you." And I like the way that he was able to, like, that's what Davos is good at. This man is a fucking salesman. He is one of the best counselors in all of this show. He is so good at what he does.
And I think that's why he earned Stannis' trust here even more, even though Stannis was upset with him a little bit for saying these things. Stannis knows that they're true. Like,
well, and that's the thing too, is that he's a little upset with him, and it leads him to the conclusion, you know what? You can go ahead and command the fleet when we storm King's Landing.
and it's kind of 50-50 there. It's kind of like you're in a lot of danger. You know, I'm just gonna maybe send you off to die, or it's like,
trust you.
But you also are commanding this entire operation. So, like, I do full well trust you and put a lot of faith into you in this.
100%. Yeah, like, I think that it's kind of a devil and the angel place in a tie here, you know, with Davos. So the devil's like, kill his ass, and the angel's like, but he could do so good for you. And he's like, you know what? Perfect. I'll just place him in command of an army. That could be the move. And, you know, when he's alone in his tent, Stannis briefly fights against some tears for a moment. You know, because his brother died, and he did care a little bit more than I would have thought.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Stannis is going through a wide range of emotions here. Like he's struggling with himself, with his family, with the realm, everything. He's going through it a little rough right now.
He's having a rough time, no doubt. And he doesn't stop having a rough time. He does nothing but have a rough time throughout the entire show. But that does conclude the story in the Stormlands, and it brings us to King's Landing, wherein the hand of the king, Tyrion Lannister, brings news of Renly's death to Cersei Lannister, and she's quite happy with it. She's like, fuck yeah, you know? And Tyrion's like, yeah, but this does mean that Stannis gained a lot of men. You know, there's a lot of questions up in the air about who did it. It could have been Stannis. It could have been Brienne. It could have been one of his Kingsguard. Could have been Catelyn Stark. She's involved somehow. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It is interesting to me how easily everyone just became under Stannis's rule. Like, for me, like, I guess, like, he won and he killed Renly, but, like, is it real? Are the people really? Did they just not care about Renly that much? And
that's another thing the book keyed me in on that I just didn't. I didn't, because he was the Lord of Storm's End. It's the way that Ned has Bannerman, because he's the Lord of Winterfell.
So literally it's the literal power.
He literally gets past that power with that many men when they call the banners.
But I guess the Bannermen, it's up to them then if they want to go against it.
Yeah, because it's like what Walder Frey said. You know, he's like, I swore an oath to Stark. Sure, I swore an oath to the king too. You know, like because of that, I swore an oath to the king. So what do I? So it's up to the Bannermen at that point. But it's not so much debating whether or not it should be Stannis or Renly. It's Renly or Joffrey is what the debate was. And then once Renly dies, it's like Stannis is the automatic Lord of Storm's End. Therein,
I see.
They flock to him.
Wow. And yeah, because he wasn't going to win the head-on battle. He knew, like, this was the best way to do it. Just one death and keep everyone else alive.
Get all of his soldiers.
Dang, man. But it's just crazy. Like, this episode 9, gone. All of them. All of them. Like, at Black, just gone. Fighting fire with fire.
It's kind of a big fucking mistake to not have the Red Woman there.
Wait a minute. You think if she was there, she could have just like whoosh, 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 and then like the fire could have just like gone away?
She's got some weird shit going on, man. I don't know. Like if she commands fire the way she seems to command fire, kind of a big fucking mistake to not have her there.
Dang, that's actually kind of crazy now that I'm thinking about that. Like, I never thought about the fire on fire aspect. They literally fought. Well, I guess they were fighting Stannis,
the Lord of Light.
But the Red Woman wasn't there, so like they were just fighting ships. But I mean, metaphorically, it's like a fire on fire fight here.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, she wasn't there. I kind of didn't remember if she went or not. If Stannis went through with that or like took that advice or not.
No, yeah, she's not there. But that is something that Tyrion kind of predicts. Stannis is coming. He's going to attack. And he's like, so what are we going to do? We got a plan to defend the city. And she's like, I got my plans. And he's like, don't want to key me in on that a little bit at all? Okay. All right. I'll figure it out. And he goes on, and from his spy, Sir Lancel Lannister, and his little carriage, which I absolutely loved. And the shots in this are also fucking gorgeous because of like the netting that's like above them, like the cross hatching.
Oh, and how the light's coming through. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay,
I loved that shit. But Tyrion learns here that Cersei has been having extensive meetings with the Pyromancer, the Alchemists Guild, and he's like, "Huh, I'm gonna go check that out." And he pays a visit to Wisdom Helene of the guild and learns that they have stockpiled thousands of jars of wildfire.
like 7,001, whatever the number was, 7,000 something.
It was a lot.
And like this scene took on a whole, like I didn't remember it as like Tyrion being like, holy fuck, this could level King's Landing. Like that was his first reaction. It wasn't like, oh, we could use this, like this is pure power. He was like, oh my god, we could kill ourselves, or like if this falls into the wrong hands, oh my god. It's the equivalent of a nuclear bomb. Like
it's an insane foreshadowing.
And yeah,
a wonderful foreshadowing.
Yeah, because holy crap, like one match in that room. If that room were to go up right now, holy shit! Like, where is that in King's Landing? I mean,
I don't know where that specific hall is. You know,
regardless, though, if that goes up,
well, and hey, man, Tyrion coming to the conclusion, you know, hey, this is cool. You know, this is bad. You're not making it for Cersei anymore. You're making it for me.
I almost chose that as my line. That almost was my line.
Well,
but
it really, this comes back to backfire. Big time.
Wildfire just isn't good. You know,
no, it's not.
The Mad King. It was his favorite thing for a reason.
And Bronn, man, the voice of reason somehow in this scenario, being like, this is a bad plan. Yeah, you know, even if you have the best soldier in your arsenal, him catapulting this shit, you're gonna hit 1 in 10. You know, it's not reasonable. And Tyrion's like, oh no, I've got a better idea for how to use this shit. I know exactly what I could do here. And we don't get what he does. You know, we don't get his plan exactly, but we know what he does. He goes ahead and pours it in the water, which is genius.
And isn't it, yeah, like Bronn just, with a big ass bow. I remember for some reason, it feels like a big ass bow, and he just draws one flaming arrow back, like, but it was like leaking in the water for a while, right? So like, it was
been there.
Oh my god. Like I was trying to remember how exactly they did it, because I'm like, they didn't just fling him at the ships. I don't remember it was just catapulted. I'm like, there was something else.
Them up, set them in the water.
Oh man, that is just so brutal. Like, so, like, I don't know what the word, combustible, that it like burns the water. Like even it's, I don't know. It's fantasy. It's, you know, it's whatever, but like, it's still cool.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, he tells him, you know, you're making it for me now. And Tyrion also goes on to pass a street protest where they're like, and that little boy king up there, that piece of shit, being controlled by his demon monkey. And Tyrion's like, haha, that's funny, demon monkey, haha. And Bronn's like, they're talking about you. And he's like, what the fuck, man? Demon monkey?
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Yeah,
I'm trying to help them.
Was he just thinking Cersei? Like, they just thought it was Cersei for sure, but like,
I have no idea what he must have been thinking. Like, demon monkey, I don't know. I think he probably just thought it was a straight up fucking demon monkey, which I think would be hilarious.
I mean, he seems to be, he's a man of wits, you know, and that's the thing. I don't know. It's what a little blonde moment that Tyrion had here. I don't know. He's a little, for him, come on, man. You gotta put the two together.
You know, he's just, he's thinking, you know, I am helping, you know, I'm trying to help them, but this is where the perception of him becomes a problem. You know, him being a dwarf makes people go, I don't trust him. He's a bad guy. And like, that's some shitty shit. And, he's a good guy. He's trying to help them, but only so much you can do here. And, that does conclude the story in King's Landing. We just bounce from place to place in this one. And those are the two longest.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It was just really
very quick.
Just little tidbits in each location. Wow.
Yeah. Next up, we're at Lord's Port, where Theon's about to launch off on his new mission. He's like,
Oh,
you will
Theon.
listen to me. I'm your commander. And they're like,
stop. He says, stop.
You.
Yeah, he says like, stop. Tries to get them just to like, I don't know. He's just, Theon. Like, physically hurts to watch this. At moments, it's
there was a tweet the other day that was like, what is a good performance by a man that is so pathetic that it's almost embarrassing to watch? And part of the tweet that because I tweeted a few options, and one of them was Theon Greyjoy. I was like,
perfect. Yeah.
Before Ramsay torture, he is so pathetic that it's almost embarrassing to watch. And this is one of those scenes, like when Yara pulls up and is like, oh no, we're so scared. Like, that's so funny. That is so fucking funny. And then he's like, you better hurry onto the port. They're going to leave without you. And she's like, they would never fucking leave without me. They know me. They know I command that shit.
He'd be like, they'd wait there a year. They'd die without going without me. I'm like, oh my lord, you are badass. And then Theon over here gets like, oh my god, this one pirate going up to Theon and being like, boy, I've been doing this for longer than you've been alive,
reaving and raping.
Yeah, so
before you came out of Balon's balls.
Yeah, and man, I don't know. For some reason I thought that the ship that Theon sees, I thought that was like not actually his. And that he actually had a much smaller one. For some reason, I don't know why I remembered that.
It's already a pretty small fucking ship to see.
Yeah, it is. But I thought that was like, for some reason, I thought I remembered that was Yara's transport out to her fleet. That was just her way to get to her fleet, and then Theon's was just, I don't know, just some other little
man rowboat,
rinky dink, something, I don't know.
No, it's funny. And what Dagmar comes up, his first mate Dagmar pulls on up and is like, "Yo, they're not going to listen to you until you prove yourself, all right?" He's like, "Well, how the fuck would I'm their lord? They should just listen to me." He's like, he's like, "They're not going to believe you're Ironborn until you just do what you want. Are those men Ironborn? Did they listen? We're heading to the fucking fisherman's village. You want to do that, or you want to do whatever the fuck you want?" And that's when Theon plots the plan that officially puts him at odds with House Stark, and goes on to raid Torrhen's Square to draw the remaining forces of House Stark from Winterfell. And his plan is successful, as Sir Roger Cassell leads a force of 200 more men. There are very few fighting men at all, and they're taking 200 men to relieve the siege of Torrhen's Square, which leaves Winterfell wildly vulnerable.
Maester Lewin knew it. He's like, why so many? Dude immediately was like, yo.
And then Bran the next one's at Winterfell, where Bran is like, if we're not going to protect our bannermen, why should they protect us? And that's also fine logic.
Also fair.
I get it. It's just that, you are a kid. You are a child. If there are 12 men sieging Torrhen's Square,
if you send 100.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you send half, you could still send even less than that, probably. Maybe they're savages, send 50. I don't think they're taking you out, on your own home turf.
That's the thing, though. They do make it to Winterfell.
But I thought it was like the distraction, right? It was just to get them.
Distraction. They ended up just keeping on riding, I think.
Because they knew that, because Theon was the no that they would do that.
Yeah, true.
So,
but
Theon.
We do get to Winterfell, where Bran is providing counsel to his subjects. And one of them is
the other Stark kid. That's just
fucking Rickon.
Rickon, yeah. Oh my god, dude. Literally just showing that he just doesn't fucking matter in the show. Literally. That's all this kid does? Crush nuts.
He's also just horribly, horribly depressed for a 6-year-old.
That's also true. Yeah, I guess.
Super sad. So sad. There's a little part of the scene that's just like I'd never caught before that I'm like, it's not a huge thing, but it's like, holy shit, that's kind of sad. There's a farmer who comes up and asks him, I need help. What can you give me? And he grants him 2 orphan boys, me and my wife had always wanted kids. These are the 2 boys that get burnt alive in Bran and Rickon's stead by Theon.
Oh my god. When the guy said, "Thank you, my lord, we've always wanted more kids," was that sincere? Or was
I
he
think
like...
so. Yeah. I think he meant that. I think he was truly happy to accept these kids. He was very excited. They always wanted more kids. I truly think he meant that. It just sucks because this guy gets killed by the Ironborn, and they kill the kids and then burn them alive instead of Bran and Rickon. Or not burn them alive, burn them dead by Bran and Rickon.
Dang, man. That is rough to know that moving forward.
Oh, dude, like I saw that and I went, "Oh no. Oh no. Those are the little dudes who get burnt. Oh no."
Man, this show is brutal. They just don't care.
And Bran's the one who sent them there. You know,
oh, it's literally his decision. Yep. Oof. Ouch. Man.
But
that's it at Winterfell, isn't it? Like,
no, there's a little bit more. You know,
okay,
he's still being troubled by dreams. He's seeing, you know, oceans coming over the walls at Winterfell and drowned men.
Osha knows about the three-eyed raven. She knows, and she is like, "Oh no, that your dreams mean nothing. It's okay."
Osha's like, I'm gonna do my best to make sure you never figure out what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah. I did not know. I guess I don't know. Does she later on say that she knew all along, or like that she like?
No, I think it's more of an in denial thing. Like, I think because there's also the fact that she can't know the true extent of it. There already is a three-eyed raven, you know? So maybe she's thinking that like the three-eyed raven is just reaching out to him, not necessarily that he is the next three-eyed raven. But yeah, she clearly knows stories and is familiar with what's going on here up to an extent, but she's like, yeah, nah, we're not going to think about that too hard. All right. You know, the ocean's really far away. And Bran makes specific mention of it drowning people, including Sir Roderick, who does die when the Ironborn come to Winterfell via a horribly executed beheading.
Okay, yes, that's right. Okay, because I was trying to remember if Sir Roderick made it. Like, I'm like, how long does he make it? I'm like, no way no way the ocean is referring to like the sea of whites, or like, you know, running in. And like, and I'm like, no way Sir Roderick lives that long and he dies in season 8, right? And I'm like, no. I don't know, maybe it's kind of like a duel. I don't know. Maybe not planned for.
There. I hadn't even thought of that, because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not that out there that George knows that Winterfell will eventually get run over by White Walkers, you know, and like, and literally there's so many of them that they
form like an ocean. Like there's like a wave of them that comes in, you know, like that. I like that perspective. I hadn't even considered it because of the obvious, you know, the Ironborn being of the sea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously the immediate metaphor that he's making is we're about to get fucked by the Ironborn, and Sir Roderick's gonna die. And I saw it, and I see the future, so this is going to happen.
Right.
But I don't know. Every time Bran says anything now, I'm just very skeptical of it. Immediately. Yeah, I'm listening hard.
There. But that is what concludes the story at Winterfell, and now we only
have Hodor though. We do get a Hodor. We do get a Hodor.
Fuck yes, we got a Hodor.
A single Hodor. It was someone. I think Bran might have said something to Hodor, like, "Hey Hodor, can you something?" And then Hodor just responded with a nice, clean Hodor. And that was it. It was nice and easy. At least we got one. We didn't get one last episode. So
I love a single Hodor. I love a Hodor.
Only 2 this season so far. Only 2 this season. So we need more Hodors.
There are later seasons where we'll get. There's like 1 or 2 episodes where there's just a ton of them right in a fucking row.
The last one is there's a lot.
There's a lot.
But I don't know if I want to count. You know, do I want to count all of those, or maybe we just say it's finished? You know, the counter's
done.
Wait a minute. If we count every time that he said Hodor, then actually, like, it is the loop. That, like, the moment that he starts saying it till his death is, like, that's his purpose, to hold it, you know, hold the door. Right. So, like, literally, It's like we've completed the Hodor loop. If we actually, so we kind of need to count.
We need to count.
We need to know how many times he said Hodor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to know.
I don't think it's that many. I don't think there's that many true full Hodors.
You're right.
It fades from hold the door, hold the door, hold
Does
the
that
door,
count?
hold door, hold door.
Because that's what Hodor means.
It's what it means, but it's not Hodor, you know?
So it has to be a Hodor.
It has to be a true and pure Hodor.
Okay. It's nice to clarify that now and not
no double D, no hold the door, because that he throws that out. He does. Hold the door, hold the door, Hodor. You know, that's when you start counting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
just setting it in stone now.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got a while, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be a few seasons, but nevertheless, we got 3 locations left, and we are at Harrenhal, where Tywin is hosting a protracted war council to determine a new strategy to deal with Robb. And Arya is serving as his cupbearer. Very, very happy to hear that Robb is absolutely fucking them. Because there's no way for her to know that. You know, like up to this point, it's interesting that she's heard stories though. Like that's how legendary Robb's become, is that she's not even in the North and she's hearing about what's happening in the North. Like that's some real shit. Robb's a legend these days, but well,
she lets him know. After lying to him though first a little bit. She's got she's learning. She's getting her foot down, getting her footing down. I wanted to ask, does Tywin have any clue at all
who she actually is?
Yeah. Like after, maybe not right now, but at the end of this altercation, do you think?
I'm interested to see. I couldn't really tell you right now because I can't remember, but
okay.
I'd be willing to bet that no, because if he even kind of suspects it,
you're right. He would not just let her roam around free. Yeah, you're right. No. He would absolutely be like, "Oh my God, you're Arya Stark."
We got to do shit about this.
Okay, fair enough.
But
fair.
Yeah, I love the way he like dismisses one of his cousins. He's like, "If you weren't a fucking Lannister, you'd be fucking dead right now. Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. Okay? What did he ask for? What was it? It was like, "Oh, can I just go home?" Or something like that. Can I go home for like a week?
Like, can I sleep?
Yeah.
He was like, "Can I go take a nap?"
Oh yeah.
It was like, "Yeah, you can go take a nap. Your wife's probably missing. You go take a nap with her." And he's like, "My wife's all the way back in Lannisport." Yep, pretty far ride. Go ahead. Good luck, buddy.
Get out of my sight before I kill you. The only reason you're alive right now is because you have the same last name as me. Leave. Tywin is, I don't know. Tywin's pretty cool.
No, like that's the thing is that like as shitty a dude as he is, I like a fantastic character, just an awesome character, and like I love when he's on screen. Charles Dance commands those scenes when he's in them, but Tywin realizes that he's like, "You're from the North, right? Be honest." And she's like, "Yes," and she asks him what house she's from, and she lies, and this is a cool little thing that I hadn't really thought of before, or a connection I hadn't made. One of the things that the Faceless Men train her to do is to be able to lie seamlessly.
Oh,
and
that's right.
Jaqen H'ghar's in this episode. Whenever she lies, the game of faces, I think is what they call it. They slap each other in the fucking face or something, or each other's hands or some shit. Like, so she lies, he catches her, and then she lies again, but she gets away with it. So I think it's kind of a foreshadowing. A little bit to that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I like that. Cause I mean, that's the whole point of their group. I don't know, what's a religion, cult,
people. I don't know.
They're chill. I don't know. I think they're
a religion. I think they're a religion.
Interestingly enough, though, which is the Lord of Light.
Yeah.
Which is I did not know that at all, that they worship the Lord of Light, and like they actually, like, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, is it a general Lord of Light belief that if you take a life, you must give it back? Or is this like his own kind of...
I think it's kind of the way there are like separate sects of Christianity. where there's Catholicism and Protestants and
Okay.
and all this different sort of stuff. Where like, I don't think he's necessarily worshiping the Lord of Light. They're worshiping the same God in completely different ways, you know, because he calls it the many-faced God later on in the show.
Okay. That's right.
And
that's strange because they're nobody and they have no, I don't know, but they have like a deep core like religion to them. It feels like very,
but it's also kind of secret. He's not about to reveal that he worships the many-faced God, because that's like,
true.
Oh, you're a faceless man.
That's true. They don't. It's not like they're spreading their word.
Yeah, no, they keep that shit to themselves.
That's true. Okay. Okay.
So I think the red God is like the God of death. Like that's the thing. Like, there's only one God. It is the God of death. It is the red God. It is the faceless God. It is the Lord of Light. I think it's all the same fucking guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they all worship the same motherfucker in different ways.
You just see it through the different faces, and it's different through every face because you have to have a different backstory, a different everything.
Well, so I was also thinking about the fact that he's sure as shit not revealing his name or he's sure as shit not revealing he's a faceless man, because next episode, I think it's got to be next episode, she gives a man his own name. She says Jaqen H'ghar, and he's like, a girl gives a man his own name.
Wait, she does that. That's right.
Yeah, he's like, you fucking, oh, you're good. You're fucking good. Okay. I'll do whatever you want. Like,
is that really what happens?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like, he's not revealing he's a faceless man because
that's awesome. Yeah.
And that's what makes him go, you know what? You're good. Here's a coin. Go somewhere.
Oh. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. Okay. That's actually sick. So it is more of like a
in this
secret society.
Ended, and I was like, fuck. But yeah, so yeah, she leaves to fetch some water and encounters Jaqen H'ghar, where he is now a Lannister man-at-arms, and Jaqen says that because she saved his life and those of his 2 fellow prisoners, he owes her 3 deaths and offers to kill 3 people of her choosing. And she targets the man who tortures everybody. And he's like, that's not good enough for me. I need a name, which is also interesting. Like, I think he expressly needs an identity to take or something like that. Like,
I wonder if it's more of like, just to be sure that we are talking about the same person. It can't just be the person who tortures everybody, because there's a lot of people at Harrenhal that do that. But by reference of the tickler, that is like specifically that person. You know that that's who they want. I think it's just more of that. I don't think it's like you need the name, and it's not like Death Note, you know, where you need the first and last name specifically spelled. Like,
I was curious because of the whole like I have no name sort of thing. Like if there's something with their religion that requires a name in order for it to be taken, which I don't.
Okay. Oh, I kind of do like that, because he is like, whenever she says the tickler, he's like, that will do fine. He's like, he kind of, and he's smiling about it. Like I don't know. That is interesting. I wonder how they do view that.
Yeah, no, I don't think they ever go into it, but I do think there's something there about the, like, a man has no name. I need a name, stuff like that. I think there's something there, but the tickler is soon found dead with his neck twisted all the way around, and having fallen from a very great height. And Arya looks up, notices Jaqen, and he holds up one finger to his face. Like, I did that shit. That's one. I did that.
You got 2 more. Yeah, he's like, you know. They
don't know that we know.
Yeah, he's my favorite character.
Oh, fuck yeah. Arya was mine.
Yeah, and it's, oh my God. Like, this dude is just, he's like the Game of Thrones equivalent of Yoda, in just like the way he speaks. For no reason, why? He doesn't need to. It's just badass. Makes him way cooler. Just makes him sound more wise. And I think just the like strand of white hair, like the character design as well, is like a large reason of why.
Very, very beautiful man. That is a good
dude is badass.
It's a gorgeous
and
one.
and
I went with I went with Arya because of her conversation with Tywin, where she's like, they call him the young wolf. They say he can't be killed. They say he turns into a wolf himself. And he's like, do you believe he can't be killed? And she's like, no, sir. Anybody can be killed. And there's like that lingering look between them where Tywin's like, oh, what do you mean by that? And
that's why I said, like, I don't think the idea enters his mind that it's Arya. Like,
I think there's the idea that maybe she's loyal to the Northerners, though. Like she's got like a solidarity with the North. So like,
yeah, maybe I think his thought is more of like, maybe I shouldn't just have my cupbearer be someone who hates me so much, and who could easily poison me.
Hey, he teaches her, like, that's kind of an underrated part of her journey, is that Tywin himself teaches her a bunch of shit in the coming episodes.
I mean, there was a lot of war strategy just spoken that Arya heard. Like, good, like he was just very like, he's like, nope, we're drinking water. We're going to be in here for a long time. We know that X, Y, and Z is happening and more, blah, blah, blah. Like, and Arya was just in the meantime, like, okay. And, oh, Rob's doing good. Nice. Like, and okay, awesome. He's winning. Like, this is good. I don't know. It was so cute to see. So I like that we got Arya and Jack and Hagar. Both.
Oh, love it. I love it. Beginning of an amazing journey between those two characters. But that does conclude the story at Harrenhal. And it takes us to our second to last location at the Fist of the First Men. The Lord Commander Jeor Mormont is leading his ranging team to the ancient Fist of the First Men to rendezvous with the experienced scout Qhorin Halfhand. There's a lot of legend about him. Is it true that he spent half the last winter north of the wall? The whole winter it froze over and he had to wait out there. Like, Qhorin's a fucking badass. Qhorin Halfhand's the shit.
Damn.
I love this guy.
Does this scene open with Sam
being like, wow, I fucking love it out here, man. Look at this. The First Men were standing right in the spot that we're standing in now. Wow.
I mean,
I love it out here.
And then he says, I wonder what the First Men were like. Immediately pans over, Jon enters the shot. Like, it's perfect. And he's looking out into just the north. And he says, like, I wonder what the First Men were like. And then Jon goes, they were afraid. Or something like that. Literally, that's like his first line. He's like, I bet they were afraid. They were running from something. They were getting away. Like, he's not... He's the only one there, like one of the only people there that is, I don't know, more clued in, I guess. He's just very aware, very...
he knows there's a problem with the White Walkers that they really need to be worried about.
It's just cool to me, like, that Jon is, like, the closest to, like, the First Men out of any of these people here. That, I don't know, just someone who's come from nothing... has no titles, has been...
The Starks themselves have the blood of the First Men. Like they literally descend from the First Men. So he's the only one who descends from the First Men in this group, at least as far as we know, from like the Highborn people, anybody could.
So the First Men were started in the north and then eventually trickled down south, built the wall because White Walkers scary, holy fuck. Yeah. Where did Targaryens and Velaryons come from? That's like from... that's right. So they just came.
They're from that, like, Valyria is I think that's in the east, closer to Essos. Because that's something I also learned about Dragonstone, is that was not a part of the Seven Kingdoms. That was the furthest west stronghold of Valyria, which is why it's Dragonstone. It was their closest stronghold to Westeros. And
wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Like the deep history of like the First Men and then the Targaryens and everyone coming over. The Andals. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see now. But I don't know, just the reason I'm hyping all of this up and everything is this is where my performance is Kit Harington here. He's really Jon Snow now. And we'll get to my scene a little later here. But man, I don't know. This was John's getting into his cool Jon Snow shit. So I don't know. I love the metaphor of him just being like the first men because I mean he is the closest they got to him right now.
That is actually the first ever performance nod given to Kit Harington on our journey so far.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I think I gave him a character nod. Yeah, but not
so have I, but not performance yet. Not performance yet.
Mm.
But yeah, this is a great scene with Corran arriving and warning Gior that, we got to be careful. The wildling army under Mance Rayder is really tearing through shit. What I'm thinking, we send a small party ahead to neutralize Mance's lookouts, and we don't need everybody. We need like 4 or 5 men. Let's go ahead and do that. And John's like, fuck yeah, baby, I'm going. Let's do this shit. And Gior's like, no, you're not. You got shit to do. And Sam's like, I'll do his shit. It'll be cool. How about I get in there? And John's like, dope, perfect, I'm going, bye. Gior's like, oh, fine. And he goes ahead and joins Corran Halfhand's group, which ends up taking him on probably the most formative journey in his story.
Oh yeah, because
time with the wildlings.
They get put up in front of Mance Rayder, right? Like they go in his like tent, and then like Ygritte
we're almost there.
Like,
that's where we're going. John actually has to kill Corran to gain their trust.
Oh my god! I forgot about that. And Corran like knows too, and then
Corran like whispers in his ear, like, "Do it! Like you have to create their army."
Oh my god!
Yeah, there's some real cool shit coming up with John's storyline that is just like, I love the North of the Wall stories. Like that is the shit out there, man.
I mean, that's my scene is when he made the decision to become a ranger. He's like, I'm doing it. He didn't. I think he might have asked permission a little bit for like from Lord Commander Mormont, like a little bit, but it was really him being like, I'm doing this. Like he's like, I know I'm doing this. We're north of the wall.
Do it.
Yeah, I can do what I want here. And I don't know. Jorah Mormont it felt a little proud here. It looked like, it's what he wished his son, if could have been. Yeah, I think John is just
that's another kick-ass part of the book that I never even like, because this is a few episodes back now, is that when John decided to flee south, this is at the end of season 1, I think, not even season 2 yet. He was like, you know what, I'm leaving, and everybody comes and chases him down and stuff. He had the decency to leave Longclaw behind, because even Jorah left it behind when he fled. Which is like, that's cool. Like that's just like a little connection between Jorah and Jon that I never considered, is that when they both left, they both decided to leave the sword behind.
That's right. He did leave it back because Sam brought it back to him. Mm-hmm. They were like, all right, come back. And they handed him the sword after that, right? Yeah. He didn't have it with him when he was riding.
I don't think he did. No.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Just a little thing that I was reminded of. Because like there were a few things from the books as I was reading the end of them and the beginning of the next one that I was like, oh, I need to remember that because that's really cool. And that was just one of them. But yeah, just a really cool connection between Jorah and Gior and Jon. I think they got a cool thing going on. But yeah, that ends the story at the Fist of the First Men, and it takes us to our last location in Qarth, where Daenerys taught her dragon to breathe some fire. On command, and now they are capable.
The first Dracarys of the show.
The first Dracarys, yes.
That's pretty huge. That is pretty huge. Didn't they go all the way across the Red Waste? Yeah, they did. Qarth is literally the furthest east that the map goes. There is nothing else over there.
Dracarys.
So yeah, they are really far out there. How does like Qarth exist? Wait, is it a globe? Do they just... Because in the intro...
There's a lot of stuff that they don't know. They don't know what is east of Qarth, and they don't know what is west of Westeros.
Well, because in the intro, a thing I did notice when I went back, because I was like, is it the red comet or whatever? The map, they still think that the Earth is not flat, but like it is the whole universe. It wraps around and everything is inside. Like the sun is coming from inside of like the Earth, basically. Or if it's the sun or the comet, I don't know. But the Earth is literally like wrapping out, like, I don't know. That's their view of the world, I guess, right now, is that it's kind of like they're the center of the universe, basically. I guess you could say that they still believe that Earth is the center of the universe.
Right. No, yeah,
but-
because so there is a lot of questions about Karth and how it is like that.
It's so far away from everything. Like looking at the interactive map out. The Red Waste, like where Danny had to go to get through the Red Waste, it's nuts.
Wow.
How far she had to go. Like this, like Vais Dothrak is up here, like up, like super far north. I mean, like she traveled the entire from like the wall. I don't know, basically from like the wall to King's Landing, the equivalent. She made the King's Road. Like, but just through straight desert, through nothing, which is nuts.
That's impressive.
And then I don't know, but I don't know. It's cool to see like in Karth, like actually in the city now.
Right.
And
no, yeah, I loved the stuff in Karth, because she's enjoying the hospitality of Zaro Zoandoxus and the city of Karth, and he hosts a gathering in her honor in the gardens of his home, and she's got to tell the Dothraki to, don't take anything. We're good. We're their guests. We're going to be respectful. I love the way Jorah like broke it down for her too. He says, well, this would be very easy to steal. He says it's too heavy. He's like, it's very simple, Khaleesi. We could chop it up and melt it down. Gold is soft. We could really get away with this.
Yeah, this is so easy.
And
Danny like, no, guys, come on.
We're not going to do that.
Bad. They're like, what? They're like, are
that's
you kidding?
Literally what we do.
And then, get a gold cup and then just immediately pours the water out and takes it. Like, steals immediately.
He's like, what? I can't not do this. He gave it to me,
Yeah, fair enough. They're like that in Karth, though, I guess. Like, to just hand out water cups that are made of pure gold. Like, I don't know. It looked like gold, but damn, they're wealthy.
Yeah, they got the shits on them, but they're hosting an honor a gathering in her honor, and she is perturbed when Pyat Pri, a warlock, shows her a few tricks. Starts seeing double. He appears twice, invites her to visit the House of the Undying, where they drink their shade of the evening, turns their lips blue and their minds to mush. And,
what? I don't know. There's some actual magic going on there, though, unless he's just an identical twin.
There's definitely some shit going on, because this shit gets.
Yeah, no, he. I feel like he does. He has more than one copy later on. Like I feel like he has like 5 versions of himself that's walking around that temple eventually. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck.
There's eventually 11 of him.
Wait.
To kill every other member of the 13.
Oh my god, I forgot he just kills all of them. Yeah. Oh, dude. Man. It's crazy how much happens in the show.
Except for Zaro Zoandoxus, because they are working together. The next one, we get a visit from one of the most interesting characters in the entire show, who is in the show for 2 episodes, and it is never explained what the fuck she's got going on. This masked lady.
Really? Yeah.
No idea what the fuck her deal is.
Does she come and tell Jorah something? Is that what she
she tells Jorah Daenerys' need for protection from those who lust for her dragons. She tells him to look out. People are after her dragons. You need to protect her.
And that's it. For right now.
What the fuck? She doesn't show up again for 2 episodes. She's in the 7th one. She's in the 7th one of season 2 also, but that's it.
Does it look like anyone that we know? I don't know, can you tell like through.
I can't tell who that might be.
Yeah, because I'm trying to. Who would be over in Karth that we would even know? That unless it is you go west of Westeros and you get to that if that's where Arya like pops up at, and maybe some people know that somehow already.
Well, that's the thing is that was another thing I learned from the books is that nobody who's ever sailed west from Westeros has ever returned. Nobody ever comes back if they sail west, which is
that's the thing is that if this map is to be believed, if you sail west of Westeros, you it depends on where you leave, but you'll either just hit way more ocean until you get back to Westeros, or you'll hit like the just barren wastelands of Essos. Well, and it's either the Red Waste or
is that I think that anyone who lives in Westeros or Essos, they've just never been able to say what they found. So that's why there's nothing on the map. It's that there's nothing that hasn't been taken down. Nobody knows what the fuck is out there.
Well, this is the Dothraki Sea, though. And like it is like they do control all of this. It's just like I don't know how how do they even get all of this? Like the book does have a map, I guess. The books do have maps in there. So this is probably heavily based on that.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see if they ever like come through with that on the Arya spinoff.
I pray they do one day. One day. But yeah, so she just shows up, tells Jorah, look out, and then that's it. But Xaro then offers to fund Daenerys' invasion of Westeros. He's like, I've seen the way your boy toy looks at you. What the fuck's going on there? He's in love with you, right? She's like, no. And he's like, dope, cool, because I'm thinking that I'll give you everything you need and we'll get married. How's that? And she's like, wow, that's romantic. And he's like, I'm married for love. The gods saw fit to take her from me. So I'm done with that. I got a lot of money. You got a need for a lot of money. To make this happen, I'll become king. You become queen. Let's do it. And she's like, huh, interesting. I'll think on that. He shows her his little eye of Agamotto. And
it's the only thing that can open this door. I've hired thieves. I've hired locksmiths. I've hired everyone to try to break through this door. No one can get through. And what's behind the door?
There's a wording here that I thought was interesting. I've hired all of them to try and break in, and every single one of them has come up empty-handed. There's nothing in there anyway.
So did they actually break in too?
There's a chance that some of them broke in and just didn't get anything and then he killed them
and he's not lying technically. Yeah. Oh my God.
They come up empty-handed. There's nothing in there.
Hey, fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah, Parasite taught me. Peak of fake it till you make it, my man. Xaro Zoandoxis has got it like that, but not even for real. And later on, she seeks Jorah's advice about the proposal, and he's like, yeah, I don't know about that. We're really close. We can do this. You need support from Westeros. You're not going to win Westeros from Karth. That's just not how it's going to work. And he's like, to be able to win, you should be able to reach Westeros with just a single ship. And he goes on to explain his admiration for her rather plainly. You would not only be respected and feared, you would be loved. Someone who can rule and should rule. Centuries come and go without a person like that coming into the world. There are times when I look at you and I still can't believe you're real.
And Dany did not know how to take that.
No, she did not.
She was like, so as my advisor, let me friend zone you real quick, let you know where you stand. Because that was way too nice, and oh my God, that was. And Jorah kind of was like, "Oh, damn, all right."
Well, as soon as he says it too, he's like, "Ooh, I said too much."
Oh, did I say that out loud? I mean, it's what I've been thinking every single second of the day, looking at you. It's and
that was my line because and again, it's kind of the way that Gwendolyn Christie's presenting her sword to Catelyn was my favorite scene. It's because I truly believe that if Missandei could have died. 2 of her dragons could have died. Jon could have stopped loving her. Everything could have gone bad for her. But if Jorah would have lived through the Battle of Winterfell, I don't think she breaks bad. That is my, I think he is the angel on her shoulder the entire time, letting her know that she is worth it, she is perfect, she is everything. And she should not let that go for a second. And as soon as he's gone, those bad thoughts can eat at her until she goes into madness.
Man, wow, that's actually so true. And like even better now that you say that, because I love the trope of like a queen keeping the king in check. But in this way, it's just, flipped around the other way. Jon's keeping Daenerys in check. And eventually Jon's like, well, I'm not about that incest life, so peace out. And now I have to kill you. So, I mean, it's very complicated at the end there. But yeah, man, I don't know. That is crazy. That like the second she loses Jon, like
second she loses Jorah. When Jorah dies.
That's who you're talking about. Oh, okay.
When Jorah dies, that's when she loses her mind. Because he's the one who tells her things like this.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Because she's already kind of long gone.
He's the one who feeds her like, you are good, you are worthy, you are a good person. You are not your father. You are not like them. You are worthy of being loved. You are worthy of being a queen. And as soon as she's gone, there's nothing but questions about her being a Targaryen. Should we trust her? Is she worthy of this? Is she? And Jorah's not there to go, yes, she is. And
is it already been found out that he was the spy?
It is found out.
Already? Okay.
She sends him off.
Or like, has it been found out already in the watch, or like, is it still?
That happens. That happens later. That's happens
what I thought.
That happens when Tyrion comes into the fold.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. Okay, because that's what I was thinking. Because I thought you were talking about Jon, and I'm like, well, now that I think about that, now Daenerys is pretty. She's still, I don't know. She's a conqueror already. Yeah. Whenever she's with Jon, so it's not like when she loses Jon, she loses it. It's like she's already kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think she could have lost Missandei. Yeah. I think she could have lost 2 dragons. I think Jon's affections could die out. I think all of that could have happened, and she wouldn't have lost her mind if Jorah didn't die at the Battle of Winterfell. I think if Jorah stays alive through it, he's enough to keep her grounded, and that just doesn't happen. And I think that's. I think it speaks volumes about how important Jorah was to Daenerys. That's
yeah. I mean, other than Tyrion, I'd say Jorah's probably I don't know, who's a better advisor over all of Daenerys's advisors that she's ever had. Is Tyrion number 1? Is Jorah number 1?
Like, there's some stuff that happens in later seasons where Tyrion is on a string of L's. And then betrays her and frees Jaime. So
Jorah is her best.
Jorah is through and through throughout the show her best advisor. That's a few more things. If Tyrion's not like Missandei could have died, 2 dragons could have died, Jon could have lost all of his affections, Varys could have plotted against her, Tyrion could have fucked up continuously and tried to free Jaime. And if she had Jorah, she would have been fine. Like
Call was already dead. Yeah.
I adamantly believe that.
Man, yeah. Okay.
Because he's she loses 1 dragon. And she, that sucks, of course. Jorah's the second thing she loses. Missandei dies after that. Another dragon dies after that. Jon falls out of love with her after that. Like, there's all sorts of stuff that happens to her after she loses Jorah. And if Jorah had been there, I think she would have been fine.
Man, but that's the thing, is that like this whole time he's still talking to Varys?
No, he stopped doing that a while ago.
He did? Is it known? Like for sure that he did?
Yeah. I think because there was a point in season 1 where that wine merchant like tried to kill her.
Yeah.
And someone, like a little bird, came up to him and was like, you can come back to Westeros. You've been relieved of your crimes and stuff. And I think at that point he was like, I'm done reporting back to Varys and I'm choosing Daenerys as my queen. Like,
Okay.
I think that's stopped happening for a while now.
Because I guess in my brain, I guess I was under the impression that he was still talking to Varys until he was found out, like until it was revealed and Dany found out that he was talking to Varys.
Because when that happens, he's like, I haven't been doing that for years.
Okay.
Like, it's been a long time since I did that. And because I think the last thing he told him was that Viserys got killed.
That's right.
I think that was the last thing he told him. And then at that point, they were like, cool, we have nothing to worry about then. Because they were sleeping on Daenerys. You know, like that's... They
were like, oh, okay. Well, we wanted to kill you anyways, now that you're dead. Okay. Why worry about a 15-year-old girl or whatever at the time?
Yeah.
So, fair.
Yeah, no, that's I think Jorah's been done reporting back to Varys, which is also important to know.
That's good. Why does he have to be like involved with slavery a little? You know, he could have been such a good character, such a great character. Why does he have to have that attached to him, you know?
It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
Damn.
But that does conclude the episode, and we're left with nothing but a rating for it, I believe.
We must talk about Sumai.
Yes.
To invoke Sumai, I think it's important to, you know, from last episode, we were so inspired by invoking Sumai that I think, you know, we need to implement a new rule here on the pod. For every show.
For every show, for every project we do. For Winter is Blooming, throughout the rest of the show, you have 3 opportunities to invoke Sumai. And when you invoke Sumai, you have full say on what an episode's rating is as far as one category, because we have enjoyment, genre, and critical. You get full say on one of those as to what the rating is. If we're on just opposite pages, if you're like, well, and even not opposite pages, if you're like, man, this was a 10 enjoyment, I have no doubt. And I'm like, it was more like a 7 or 8 for me. You can go, I invoke Sumai. This is a 10. And I have no choice but to accept your Sumai. That is the way of things.
Also could, on the other end, say, if you're at a 10 and I'm like, oh no, this was some dog shit. I don't know. I feel like this was a 5. I'm invoking Sumai. Bang! You know, it could go any direction.
And we are going to do this with every project. We're doing it with Winter is Blooming. We're going to do it with our comic book movie journey through film. If it's on the comic book movie journey through film, that's a lot more long spanning. So it's going to be a little bit more meticulously, like there'll be times where it's like, oh, do I want to invoke Sumai? But you're like, but what if later? You know, like there's a few things there. So, you know, you got to be careful with your Sumais. You get 3 of them. You get 3 Sumais. And
you got to cut your hand too.
Yeah, you have to cut your hand with a knife. That's the rule here.
We will. You'll
hear it. You won't see it. That'll be it. But so Sumai is officially on the table. You can invoke Sumai and get full say on a rating. I don't know that it'll necessarily be invoked this episode. Not really an episode worthy of invoking Sumai, if I had to say so myself. And so let's start with enjoyment. How are we feeling about this one on a scale of 1 to 10?
You know, even though that not any, we kept saying that like not a lot happened this episode. It was just a really easy episode to watch.
Very entertaining, yeah.
And I think that's where the strength of this episode is just in enjoyment. You get to check in with every character, and like every single location was like nothing was filler, you know, I guess. And filler's not bad.
Standpoint, but it's incredible. The foreshadowing of the raid by the Ironborn, the foreshadowing of something that is 4.5 seasons away, and the destruction of King's Landing via wildfire.
And the Battle of Blackwater.
And the Battle of
more
Blackwater.
Immediately. A lot of, even like John, a lot of progression with him, seeing where he's going now, setting his story in motion.
Theon's story setting it in
Oh,
motion.
dude, yeah, that the web is getting so crazy, and this is an episode that you can sit back. It's not even really like that hard to take in what's happening. It's just very simple things that are happening at each location. Super easy to watch. Like, I don't know, but like, I don't.
My gut took me to an 8.5.
Okay, because I was like 9. I was looking at the 9, and I'm like, that just kind of feels really high. Like,
because while it was easy to watch, we don't have any of those things where it was like, oh shit, I loved this. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a very nice episode to watch. But I would not go as far as to say that I loved this episode. And I think once you get to 9, you're saying you love this episode.
Puts it on the same level as episode 2 of this season, The Nightlands. Which I remember that title didn't make sense, right?
Yeah, it was a little vague because there was only one scene in reference to the Nightlands. It was the one where Riccaro's head was returned to them in a sack in the Red Sea, and they were like, "Oh, he will not reunite with his ancestors in the Nightlands," and that was it. That was the only mention of the Nightlands. And then you also had Craster walking his son out into the woods and setting him down on the rock, and we were like, "Oh, maybe there's something there," and I don't know. No,
maybe it's like the Long Night Lands. This is like I don't know. Yeah, maybe there was something there, but interesting. I think because that episode wasn't. Yeah, I feel like it is kind of on the same level.
Yeah, it's right around there.
Yeah, I think that does sound right because bigger things happen in that episode, but this one is just kind of smaller things, but good spread out through the whole episode. So it's just like good the whole time.
I'm not gonna lie to you, buddy. I'm looking at these ratings, and I'm almost like I'm genre wise does pretty good. It does pretty good. It advances a lot of story, sets a lot of stuff up. We do get some pretty mystical shit with the death of Renly.
We get Renly dying, which was nuts. We get Dracarys. We get some dragons. We get the first little meat cook. We get the masked woman, which, by the way, I went back and looked at it. Whenever Jorah asks, "Who are you?" she says, "I'm no one." She immediately follows it by saying, "But she's the mother of dragons." So she's just like trying to play that like, I don't matter, Daenerys matters. You need to protect your dragon. So it could be I'm no one as in the faceless, that. And she's literally wearing a mask. So
we also got Jock and Hagar in the mix now too. So maybe there's a little bit more foreshadowing at work there.
Maybe this is the assistant girl.
Yeah.
Yup. That's her. That's her. We got to follow. She just pops up whenever Arya gets to Bravos, right?
Yeah.
Or is it in Bravos?
Yes, it's in Bravos. And the waif is actually played by the chick who plays Vel in Andor, which is going to be super fun to see again.
That'd
be interesting. One of the most hateable characters in this show.
She did. Yes, she did. What's her character name?
The waif.
The waif. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the waif. That I guess there's my current theory is this mysterious masked woman is the waif, or maybe just someone else in the faceless community. I don't know what
the faceless community. I love.
Yeah, I don't know what to call them.
But no, I'm sitting at roughly a 9 in this in the genre category. I think it was pretty good.
I was right there. Yeah, this was it becomes a 10 if you get like a battle in there, or you get like a huge oh my god moment, or I don't know. Like it's like it had everything. It was just done very well. I don't hate anything. It progressed so many storylines. Maybe if there was something,
it's just a really good episode of Thrones. It's not nothing groundbreaking, but really good. And I think a 9 out of 10 kind of captures that. But critically, I'm left in a place where this is probably somewhere, maybe an 8.75, kind of splitting that 8.5 and 9. But because it was good, it was damn good. I don't think it was written to be I couldn't tell you a single like standalone story within this episode. It was a lot of just progressing tons of storylines. It was pretty good looking, but I think it left a lot to be desired on that side of things.
Yeah, I feel 8.5 would be the floor. I feel like it can't really go much lower than that. Like it was nothing spectacular, but with what little happened to keep me that to keep me that in the whole time.
They did a good job.
I was never really confused as to what was going on, even though we were jumping around so much. I don't know. I think like 8. I don't think it's a 9. It wasn't that good. So
No.
I think like 8.75 or 8.5 is right.
Yeah, I'm even more comfortable with 8.5 because I think we've had better. I think we've just had better episodes, a lot of better episodes, and this was good. It was just wasn't anything insane. So comes to a pretty good score.
That's pretty spot on there. I mean, 87% IMDb, 8.6 out of 10. We have an 8.67 here if you want to get that detailed with it. So damn. Maybe we're getting better at this over time. I don't know.
Maybe.
I guess it makes sense. We would hopefully improve over time. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we were right. We predicted that this would be a little jump up, not quite a 9, but it's the start of the rise of the end of the season, and they're setting it up. So they set it up pretty well for every storyline to continue on. So
They did a damn good job, and this was another good episode. But I think we will conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming.
Mm-hmm.
With that, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including all sorts of book reviews and comic book pull lists and some movie reviews. I'm doing a nice little project where every time I watch a movie for the first time, I go ahead and I put it on a list and record when I've done like 10 to 15 of them. I'm trying to catch up with all the Best Picture nominees for the Oscars. I'd already watched like 5 or 6 of them. But in recent weeks, I've watched Tar and All Quiet on the Western Front. I'm working on Triangle of Sadness. I'm working my way through them, so I'm definitely excited to talk about those. I'm thinking maybe I'd give my own little ranking of the Best Picture nominees once I've watched all of them. Still need to catch Way of the Water. And Women Talking isn't available anywhere, and there's no showtimes in my area, so we'll figure something out there. But we'll figure it out. So that's all on patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially, which will be huge because it costs me money, and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. So help a brother out. That'd be huge. Head to Twitter, follow @PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review because we've got tons of shit for you here, especially since we're doing our comic book character draft right now. That's ongoing. Last week was round 1, and this week will bring us round 2. We covered The Last of Us episodes 1 through 3 last week. We're going to be doing that in 3 episode chunks, 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9. So be on the lookout for that. We've got Bad Batch coverage on Wednesdays. We're doing a whole lot. And, just around the corner here in a little bit less than a month, we've got The Mandalorian starting up. So we'll be splitting the Rebellion's Bloom on Wednesdays and go on the Bad Batch and The Mandalorian coverage there.
We're feasting.
Like
we are feasting.
We are feasting, and we are feeding the people who listen to this podcast.
It is true.
Like we are not depriving you of content. We are making it all, because on Fridays we've got the comic book movie Journey Through Film, where this week will bring us to Howard the Duck. I believe it brings us our first guest.
The MCU, baby.
Yeah, we got our first Marvel movie this week. And Howard the Duck on Friday. That brings us our first guest. My father, Justin Robertson, will be joining us for that. So shout out to my dad. He'll be on the show on Friday. So I can't wait for you to hear that. And we got all sorts of good shit in the pipeline for you. We're working hard, and it's paying off. The listenership is growing like crazy. We keep gaining more and more downloads every month. And thank you all who are here to listen. Please leave reviews, though. That helps so much. Every time we get a little review, it helps those search metrics. People look up Star Wars. People look up Game of Thrones. If we get a ton more reviews, we will pop up on lists whenever people search that. Because 20 reviews just isn't getting it done. Would appreciate that. So
thanks for listening to me ramble, though. Can't believe you would want to, but I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me a platform.
There's an audience for everything, my man. That's been the attitude for this podcast since day one, and it's finally paying dividends in our listenership. So thank you so much. And I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I don't want to be a queen. I want to be the queen.